The 7 Years' War, the first global conflict. In the mid-18th century, a war erupted that would span 5 continents, redraw borders, collapse empires, and sow the seeds of future revolutions. It was the first truly global conflict, the 7 Years' War, fought between 1756 and 1763. The roots of the war lay in the great rivalry between two rising powers, Britain and France, and their struggle for global dominance. Meanwhile, in continental Europe, Prussia, under the ambitious Frederick the Great, sought to assert itself against Austria, Russia, and France. Old alliances crumbled as new ones formed. Britain allied with Prussia, while France sided with Austria and Russia. The stage was set for an unprecedented clash. In Europe, the war began with Frederick the Great launching a preemptive strike into Saxony. His victories at Rossbach and Leuthen stunned Europe. Despite being vastly outnumbered, Frederick's military genius kept Prussia in the fight. Yet, he was surrounded and close to collapse multiple times, only saved by a remarkable turn of fate when Russian Empress Elizabeth died in 1762, and her successor, Peter I, a fan of Frederick, withdrew from the war. This miracle of the House of Brandenburg staved Prussia from destruction. Across the Atlantic, the war was known as the French and Indian War. Britain and France battled for control over North America. The conflict began in the Ohio Valley, where a young British officer, George Washington, suffered an early defeat. However, the British, under Prime Minister William Pitt, poured resources into the war effort. With superior naval power and indigenous allies, they captured key French positions, including Louisbourg, Quebec, and finally Montreal. By 1760, France's North American empire had effectively collapsed. In India, the war manifested through the Carnatic Wars between the British and French East India Companies. British commander Robert Clive scored a decisive victory at the Battle of Plassey in 1757. This not only secured Bengal, but also marked the beginning of British dominance in India. France's influence in the subcontinent was shattered, changing the course of Indian history. The conflict also reached the Caribbean and West Africa. In the Caribbean, Britain captured several valuable French sugar islands, such as Guadeloupe and Martinique. In West Africa, forts and trading posts were attacked, as both powers sought to control the lucrative slave trade and gold resources. Naval supremacy gave Britain the edge, enabling rapid and effective strikes across distant colonies. After 7 years of grueling conflict, the war ended with the Treaty of Paris in 1763. The consequences were enormous. Britain emerged as the world's preeminent colonial power. France ceded Canada and its claims east of the Mississippi River to Britain and handed Louisiana to Spain. Spain, in turn, gave Florida to the British. In India, France retained only a few trading posts, while Britain took control of vast territories. Meanwhile, the Treaty of Hubertusburg confirmed Prussia's status as a major European power. But victory came at a cost. Britain was left with a massive debt, prompting new taxes on its American colonies. These taxes, like the Stamp Act and Tea Act, ignited growing resentment and cries of no taxation without representation. The seeds of the American Revolution were sown. France, humiliated and weakened, began preparing for revenge, a desire that would be fulfilled during the American War of Independence. The loss of empire drove political and economic changes that contributed to the French Revolution just decades later. The 7 Years' War reshaped the world. It forged empires, toppled others, and set into motion a chain of events that would transform the 18th century. From the forests of North America to the plains of Europe, from the rivers of India to the islands of the Caribbean, it was a war without borders, a global struggle whose echoes still reverberate through history. Thank you for joining us, the 7 Years' War, the first global conflict.